Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. On Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
Welcome to Inspired Conversations, my friend. I'm your host, Linda Joy, Mindset Elevation Coach, publisher at Aspire Magazine, the premier inspirational digital magazine for women since 2006. Whether it's Aspire or the Inspired Conversation Show, you can count on me bringing you the best in inspirational, empowering content from women who are changing the world with their work, all in my mission to inspire you to live deeper, more authentic and intentional lives, to live from the inside out instead of the outside in. And that's why I'm really excited about today's special guest. You know, if you've been feeling the nudge to make some changes in your life, feeling like I call them spiritual breadcrumbs, or getting nudges to maybe dive a little deeper into what you are truly here for, then you're going to love this conversation. Joining me today is Kris Franken, storyteller, mystic, and wayshower. She's a spiritual author and mentor, certified meditation teacher, energy healer, and a chocolate-obsessed yogi. She's the author of Wildhearted Purpose, Embrace Your Unique Calling and the Unmapped Path to Authenticity. Kris has devoted her life to awakening the light within herself and others. With a bachelor's degree in psychology and sociology and over 15 years experience as a professional writer, Kris loves to empower others to live in the deepest alignment with their heart's vital purpose. She lives gently in paradise in Byron Bay, Australia. Welcome, Kris.
Oh, Linda, thank you so much. It's so beautiful to be here with you today.
Well, I love the work you're doing with the world, and I'm excited that I'll be sharing your wisdom in the upcoming issue of Aspire magazine. And I said, you know, we're going to make this work because you're in Australia and I'm on the East Coast, and we lined up our schedules so I can bring this message out to even more women. So, Kris, one of the questions I always love to start with, because it's always intrigued me, many of my guests over the last 7 years, all women, I asked them, what led you to the work you're doing today? Because for some of us, it's like a pivotal moment, or we followed the breadcrumbs. So what led you to this, I want to say, this wisdom-filled work that you do now?
Well, I would say it's definitely following the breadcrumbs. I've always been a writer. I've always been in love with words. As a Gemini, I love communicating. I love connecting with people. So it's always been a really slow tapestry that has woven throughout my life. I fell in love with writing in my first year of high school. And ever since then, I've been really obsessed with it. It wasn't until I was 29 that I became a professional writer. And ever since that moment, I just knew that I had hit the jackpot. And so anytime I got paid to write a magazine article, or even when I got a full-time job on a magazine, I really felt like I had hit the slipstream. I'd found the place where my joy was at its most vibrant and alive. And then from there, it was more working out, okay, what was my message and what was my intention, and who was it that I wanted to speak to the most, and how could I do this most effectively? I love long form writing, so to eventually have 2 books published has been an absolute dream come true. So although, I can think of pivotal moments that really sparked an idea, sparked a connection or a collaboration or something that I've created, it's been more of a long journey of self-discovery and really following what lights me up.
I can relate to that because my own journey was like an unfolding. that led me to start Aspire and do all the work I'm doing. And it was following the spiritual breadcrumbs, because I know now my mind or ego could never have created everything that I've created. It was following my intuition and guidance. So I can relate to that. So you recently released Wildhearted Purpose, and I just love that title for one. So tell us about the title and just what that phrase Wildhearted Purpose means.
I love that you resonate with it. Thank you so much. I remember many years ago on Instagram, I remember seeing the word wild-hearted. Someone was using it to describe something. And because I'm such a word nerd, but also I really feel words. And I think that's what drives me as a writer, is that I can feel a word and how to explain it or how to share it in a way that lands for people. So when I saw Wildhearted put together, I got so giddy and so excited, and just, I think I must have tucked it away knowing that I would really need it one day. So then when the book came to be, the title was always Wildhearted Purpose. My publisher asked me, as they do, for a few other ideas just in case, the team wasn't okay with the first. I couldn't come up with anything else. So wild-hearted purpose, every single word in that title means so much to me. To live wild is to live really free, is to live untethered and uninhibited, and really not conditioned by anyone or anything to do something that we're supposed to do or something that we should do. And living wild-hearted, living from the heart, means so much to me. It's from the heart that we find our true purpose and our true meaning, and also the energy and vitality to make it happen. I really believe the heart is the portal to the soul. So anytime we need to access higher wisdom, anytime we need to access ancient wisdom, it really all comes flowing through the heart when we open up that space. And then, of course, the word purpose was everything for the book. The book is devoted to purpose. And so bringing those three words together felt like some kind of magical code that I brought together. And it really brings people into what exactly the book is about.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it energetically captured me right away. And like you, I'm just sensitive to the energy of words. And that one, like I use a phrase a lot called soul giggles, and people love it. For me, that's that feeling when you read or see something that you get these soul bumps of this inner knowing. And when I saw Wildhearted Purpose, I'm like, yes, who wouldn't want that? Right? It was that kind of energy when I read it. So I'm so glad that your publisher kept the title.
Oh, me too. I didn't give them a choice, but I'm glad there was no argument, because it just feels so good.
Oh my God, yes. So when you live in Byron Bay, Australia now, but where were you originally and what led you there?
I was born in Toronto, Canada. I still feel a really strong connection to Canada. Both my parents are from Winnipeg, and my mom has a long lineage of Indigenous relatives in the Cree Nation of Canada. My dad has Russian parents, so I have quite a mixed thing going on in my ancestry, which I love. My dad had the kind of job that moved us around a lot as kids, and I loved it, and I also hated it. It was really challenging as a kid. We moved from Toronto to Sydney, Australia, and then to Melbourne, Australia, then to Detroit, Michigan, then back to Sydney when I was 10. I I resisted Sydney a lot, but eventually I made some great friends, and then I was really glad we came. Also, the weather's amazing. I miss
Yeah.
the snow, and I'm not a very good skier. So I kind of missed out on all of that, and I have so many relatives all over Manitoba, Saskatchewan, British Columbia. I love California. I really do feel connected in many ways to the US and Canada. But I know for sure that Byron is home. We moved up here 4 years ago. Um, on a whim. Both my husband and I work from home. We're both entrepreneurs. We both run our own show. And as soon as he made the decision he worked in film and TV for many years. As soon as he made the decision that he just wanted to do his own thing from home, I made a joke that we should move to Byron Bay, that this this land up here is so sacred. The people are so open-hearted. It's a really beautiful place, a really accepting place. It's amazing weather. It's such a beautiful coming together of spirit and land, of all different types of people, of so many beautiful animals. So we moved initially to live by the beach, but now we live in the rainforest on 40 acres, and we really are living our wildest purpose out here, and it is unfolding in ways that we never predicted. So nature's really taking us on a ride, and we're loving it.
I love the story. I have a soul space. It's Costa Rica. We've been going for 30 years. We just rented a house for a month this coming November. So the way you speak about Australia is how I feel in the rainforest of Costa Rica and on the beaches of Costa Rica. So I get that connection to the people, to the land. It's something special. So what a beautiful gift that you gave yourself, that permission to follow that dream in your heart for both of you.
Yeah, it is. It is. Thank you.
You're welcome. So how do you describe purpose, right? Because we hear the phrase all the time. But for those who are listening who are like, I don't know what my purpose is. What does that even mean? What would you say to them, Kris?
I think it's really important that we connect with the idea of purpose regularly to see how we're living and if we feel like we're living on purpose. Purpose is so much more than a career, than a job, or a whole bunch of jobs in one. Or purpose is really what you came here to do, and also who you came here to be. And I don't know that you can find what you're meant to do before you discover who you're meant to be. And that's an ongoing evolution, an ongoing process. I believe that everyone's purpose is love. And when we come back to love, we can tune into who we are on a deeper level and what we're meant to do on a deeper level. And so to discover your purpose is to discover the many gifts and talents that you have. It's to really honor what lights you up from the inside out, like you say so perfectly, not from the outside in. It's really discovering that spark within your heart, your own being, and seeing where that wants to take you every day. It's a daily process. It's a really cyclical process. It's a seasonal one. And I think that's why nature is so good at guiding us toward our purpose, is because we see in her the elements, the cycles, the rhythm that we have in our own body. Our body is the earth. So in order to find your purpose, really, you need to find your joy. And in your joy, quite often, you're going to find what your soul destined for you. And of course, there's free will. And of course, we get to play with it. And there's nothing fixed about it. But to discover your purpose is to really go deep, but it's also to really be playful and to be frivolous and to have fun and to see what makes you happy and how you connect to other people, how you can serve your community and your friends in a way that feels so fulfilling. And also, I love to unravel the idea of success, because we feel our purpose is our career. And if we do our career right, then we can be successful. But actually living according to love on purpose can be just what success means to you. So you get to define what success means. You get to decide what your purpose is. And knowing that there's a plan for you that you created, I feel is really empowering when it comes to fully embracing and embodying your purpose.
I couldn't have said that any better, my friend. That was beautiful and just resonates on a soul level with me. We're going to take a quick break, Kris. And when we come back, I want to talk about what you would say to anyone who feels that they're lacking in purpose. So we'll be back in a moment, my friends. I encourage you, visit krisfranken.com, grab a copy of Wildhearted Purpose, check out the variety of offerings and everything else that she has there to inspire you on your journey. KrisFranken.com. We'll be right back.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Inspiration for a woman's soul. Aspire magazine, inspiring and supporting women on the path of self-discovery, Claim your free digital subscription today, which includes access to thousands of dollars of personal development bonus gifts from Team Inspiration partners. Claim your Aspire magazine subscription today at subscribetoaspire.com.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. ascendinghearts.com.
Consistently attract soulmate clients, begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalind Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your soulgasmic business by tuning in on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Mountain. Join me for your light language activation and let's magnetize and monetize.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back, friends. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. I'm Linda Joy, and with me today is Kris Franken, author of Wildhearted Purpose. So, Kris, you so beautifully described what purpose is, and it really resonates with me on a soul level because I just turned 60, and the first 30 years was I see now chasing success. I've been an entrepreneur for 32 years, and I can remember feeling so disconnected from all the success in my first business, which was retail. And I realize now, looking back, I was chasing validation of my worth through success. And when I flipped the script and went into my inner world, which is why I do the work I do, I realized that I'm already successful. The essence of who I am is that. And when I just allowed and started, as you said, following my bliss, following my soul, following the breadcrumbs, I discovered my purpose. It was like an unfolding. So this conversation really resonates. So if someone is listening right now, and I know there's many people because it comes up in my communities of like, I don't even know what that means, Linda. Like, what would you say to someone that feels they're lacking in purpose?
I think I'm really glad you shared your story, and I feel like that's quite a universal story for women in the Western world, because we go out into the world and we want to know through the reflection of others. That's really common in our teenage years, in our 20s and in our 30s. Like, who am I, and what can other people show me who I am? It's the drive for validation that, like you say, can undermine the genuine search to go within. But it is really common, and it teaches us so much when we're really out there looking for validation, and when we're really out there looking for someone else to say, hey, you're doing a great job, and hey, you're going to be successful, and hey, I love what you do. And all of that is really nice. But when it's an insatiable desire for the external validation, it can it can mean that there's a real lack of satisfaction and fulfillment and that deeper inner success. So when you are looking for your purpose and you're feeling really I guess untethered to yourself, the first thing is just to come home to yourself. And there's some really simple exercises you can do every day to get to know yourself better. As you get to know yourself better, you'll find that your purpose just kind of springs out of each day. When you get to know yourself, you can just sit down with a journal and start writing down some things that you love. And it can be certain types of flowers, and it can be certain friends who make you feel really good, and certain home cooked meals that you like to make. And this doesn't sound purposeful, and I really get that. But to the logical mind and to the ego, this sounds like it has no meaning, like it has no path, like what's the point? But the more you get to know yourself through these everyday things, like, okay, what I really love to drink first thing in the morning is this kind of smoothie or this kind of tea, or I make myself a cacao or a coffee. And actually, that's what I love. And then there's a sense of empowerment. I give myself permission to do that because that's what I love. And it makes me feel really good. And then you get to go out into your day and see you become more distinguishing between what it is that you love and what it is that maybe you're pretending to love or your ego loves, or you're connecting with something that's actually not really of value to you. So once you get to distinguish these things in everyday life, your purpose will kind of fall in your lap. You'll find that you're connecting with people who genuinely feel like they light you up, they make you feel like a happier person, and they give you purpose because you get to share your life with them. And eventually these people will say, oh, you know how you do this so well? You know how you bake cake so well? You know how you can, your voice is amazing, or you can start a podcast, or you know how you can fix clothes so well. And then you start to really register these things because you're listening on a different level, and you can really take on what other people are saying. So they're reflecting something back to you. You don't need their validation because you're giving it to yourself. You're doing the inner work. You're getting to know and love yourself. But just seeing what unfolds in your everyday life and seeing how people reflect, oh, right, I have a gift in this and I've never acknowledged that. And maybe that's not going to make me money, but it actually, for now, feels kind of purposeful. And I really love to do that. And it's also learning to say no a lot more that helps you to stay on purpose, because you're not leaking your energy so much into paths and people and ideas and shoulds and shouldn'ts that actually don't really matter that much to you. So really lovingly letting your life unfold in that way can be a beautiful beginning to discovering more of your purpose.
Oh, I love that. And I love what you said about leaking energy and the shoulds and musts, right? How often do we catch ourselves saying, oh, I should do this, I should do that? And do you hear the energy when you even say it? And I caught myself doing that for years, Kris. So when you said leaking energy and about the shoulds, that really spoke to me, because that was something I had to heal that story, because that was all based on those younger years of, I need outside validation to tell me my purpose and who I am. And have you found that with your clients too?
I really do. I notice that when people start to journal, they get really clear on what it is that they want. And a lot of people just haven't had that permission slip to really tune into what it is that they want and desire, and then to actually take loving, wild-hearted action steps to really get there. And so that permission can change someone's life.
Oh, did you say permission? Because it's one of my favorite words. It's like giving yourself permission, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I call it divine permission slip. I'm like, why don't we wait for other people to give us a permission slip? Give ourselves permission. And there was something else you had shared about coming home to ourselves. And, when I look back at my journey, I see for many years, I was disconnected from myself. I didn't even know how to hear my own intuition, my own message, my own soul. And that's why I'm a big advocate of learning to live from the inside out instead of the outside in, which is the shoulds, right? The shoulds, the musts, the have tos, the outside accolades. There's a sense of peace. Here I am at 60, still doing the work I love, but it's from this deep sense of peace and purpose. And I want that for everyone. And it sounds like that's what fuels your work too.
The sense of peace is definitely something that drives me, which it doesn't sound like a driver at all, but there is so much peace in what I do. And the peace comes from satisfaction. The peace comes from telling myself, actually, today I didn't actually get a lot done, or I got a little bit lost on social media, or I didn't make a fresh meal, or whatever it is. I still feel really successful because I tuned into my body and I honored myself. And that's intuition. Intuition is listening to the body every day and honoring it. And that is my purpose. That is my number one purpose above everything else I do. Everything I do as a mom, as a wife, as a caretaker, as a writer, everything. my number one purpose is to tune into this body. The body has so much wisdom. And if I listen to this body every day, then I feel like that's my purpose, and everything else will more or less fall into place as it's meant to. And I will trust that more when I trust in myself.
So beautiful. And I want to dive into intuition when we come back from this next break, because for me, that I feel it's the key to everything, and honoring our body's wisdom, as you shared. We'll be back in a moment. I am with Kris Franken of krisfranken.com, author of Wildhearted Purpose, Embrace Your Unique Calling in the Unmapped Path to Authenticity. One of my other favorite words too, authentic. We'll be back in a moment, my friends.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Are you ready to make the second half of your life the best half of your life, my midlife friend? Living a life full of happiness, abundance, and success is possible when you learn strategies to soothe your inner critic, honor your inner wisdom, and that support you to co-create your life from a place of joy and possibility. Don't walk the journey alone. Midlife Transformation Guide, Master Certified Law of Attraction Coach, and Certified Desire Factor Coach, Karen Shire, will passionately support you to uncover and release what no longer lights you up, so you can go from feeling stuck, stressed, and unfulfilled to feeling free, empowered, and eager for the next chapter of your life. Learn more at KarenShireCoaching.com and schedule a complimentary discovery call today.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
You're listening to Inspired Conversations. Thanks for circling up with me today. I am with Kris Franken, storyteller, mystic, and wayshower. So, Kris, right before the break, you talked about intuition and in our body's wisdom. I can only speak for myself. I was completely disconnected from that, especially my body. In fact, back in my 20s, I can remember telling a counselor that I was seeing, I said, I feel like everything from the neck down isn't even mine, because I was always in my head. Fear, anxiety, what ifing, projecting, controlling. And it took me decades to heal that. So it sounds like an important part of your work is to help women or all people learn to honor and hear their body's wisdom.
Intuition is so important to me. That's amazing, your story. I really feel like I've always been in touch with my intuition, but I had anxiety for the first 40 years of my life. So while I still felt in touch with my body, I wasn't honoring it. I knew what it was saying. I was ignoring it. I was suppressing it. I was repressing it. Quite often, I would find myself doing something in my career that didn't make sense to my head. So somehow I was still navigating life through my intuition because I was still somehow doing things. But in my head, I had a lot of anxiety and there was a lot of fear. And I managed to heal all of that when I was 40, which is amazing. After I healed that, I remember a lot of people around me were talking about intuition and saying how disconnected they felt as well, just like you were saying, and how they didn't understand where their intuition was. Maybe it was just spirit trying to speak to them, or maybe it was just some strange knowing. And I thought to myself, intuition actually feels really tangible to me. It feels like it's in the body somewhere. And because I had studied psychology at university, I really wanted to tap into the psychology and the body wisdom of intuition. And that's how my first book came out, which is The Call of Intuition. And I was so excited to unpack the 3 different guides within us. And this is what I share with my clients and friends and anyone who'll listen, because it feels so important to me. We have a gut instinct that drives us and our urges, and that's our unconscious mind. It's in our gut. We can heal that by healing our gut. We can heal that by doing ancestral work. We can heal it by spending more time in nature. That really grounds us in our bodies. From there, we have our intuition in our heart. The heart is connected to the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind speaks to the conscious mind, not in words, but in dreams and visions and body sensations and so much more, symbols and synchronicities. That's where our subconscious mind really gets to speak. And if we don't drop out of our head and into our hearts, then we won't hear what our intuition has to say. And that's really connected to the heart space. So you can heal that by breath work and by just allowing your heart energy to open wide and allowing love in, because intuition is always connected to love. It's always the language of love. Then there's the mind's insight, and that's like listening to a great podcast and getting a really cool aha moment and taking that in. And then that slowly from the conscious mind, that gets embodied further and further into our being when it really resonates. And that's why we say something resonates with us, because it literally does. It vibrates on a level that matches our own frequency, and it comes into our field and we really get it. Then we start to embody that wisdom. So intuition is something that is so vital when it comes to living on purpose. Intuition is our heart's voice. And if we're listening to that, if we're in tune with that, and if we're trusting and honoring it, then we get to follow our purpose. We need our minds, and it's not to say that the ego doesn't know what it's doing. It's not to say that we can't be logical or make 5 or 10-year plans, because absolutely, if that's really important to someone, then I say go for it. Use your mind, but start with your heart. Let your heart always lead.
It's so beautiful. And this speaks to me because, like you, anxiety, depression for 40 years of my life, and for the last 20, from doing all the inner work, I don't have that. Now, does life hit us with stuff like worries about family? And I catch it and I call it recalibrating. I recalibrate to the truth, right? That in this moment is all is well. And what you said about the intuition being the heart's voice, for me, I remember when I started opening up and honoring my whole journey, I remember I'd receive a piece of wisdom or insight and go, is that really my intuition speaking? Or is that my ego telling me what I want to hear? Like, I would doubt. But the beautiful thing is, as I begin to just listen, take action, and trust, unbelievable things, like you said, manifested. It was like I started aligning with all my deepest desires. But trust plays a big part, wouldn't you agree? That you have to trust that what you're receiving is truth.
You have to trust. It is so imperative that you trust. And I think a lot of us, especially at the moment, we don't know where to place our trust, because there are so many people being seen for who they really are. There are so many systems falling apart. I think we're feeling like, okay, who do I trust? How do I know who to trust? Well, the first step is to trust yourself and trust in your body's wisdom and to listen into that. Then you develop a sense of, okay, so when my body tells me this is what it means, and then this is what I do, or this is what I experience, and then I can trust the outcome of that. So even if it's not perfect, even if it doesn't seem right, even if it's not, ticking all the right boxes that the ego has previously laid out for you, you can really trust yourself. And when you begin to trust yourself, and that becomes a cycle within you, and then you learn who you can trust around you. And that is really important for living on purpose, because we all need other people to fulfill our purpose. It's really important. Sometimes we like to collaborate with people. Sometimes we want to work for someone or have someone work for us. We're all coming into an age of community and collaboration, and we need to learn to trust each other again. I think it's absolutely vital in community. It's vital in purpose. It's vital in everything that we do. So when you can start with yourself and then you can let that flow out to your loved ones and just trust that they're on the right path. If you have a partner or if you have kids, sometimes it's hard to trust that they're on the perfect path for them. But when you do, you can relax a lot more. There's a lot more ease and grace, flow, synchronicity. Like you say, it all just kind of lines up so beautifully. Again, it doesn't mean it's perfect, but it does allow the divine to flow so much more through your life and through everything that kind of works around you.
Yeah. I'll tell you, it's for me, I live my life that way. I can't think of it any other way now. And maybe because I had the contrast of spending 35 years of my life living the other way, right? Living from the outside in, not listening to my body, pushing, striving, chasing, instead of trusting, allowing, being. And this way, trusting, allowing, being, listen to my intuition is so much more peaceful and joyful, and I want it for everyone. So for you, you work with clients too also, correct? Through programs?
Yeah, I do. I work one-on-one, and I also work with women's circles, and I host retreats.
Well, the reason I ask that is, does this come up in that work that you do? Is that where you really start with them, is honoring the body's wisdom, how to hear the intuition? Is that something that a lot of them struggle with?
It is. Intuition is because it feels so, we're taught that it's so elusive. So it feels really important to me with my clients to share how strong their body's wisdom is, how tangible it is in every moment. So really connecting back into the five senses. And we're taught that a lot to get out of our heads. We just tune into the five senses. And what we don't realize what we're doing then is tangibly strengthening our intuition, because the subconscious mind is connected to the five senses. What we bring in with our five senses every moment of every day is really filling up our intuition. And that's where we get to live our lives from if we allow our heart to lead. So yeah, with clients, I love to look at intuition. And what we do is we look back quite often at childhood and teenage years and how we were being creative and how that was stopped and why that was stopped. And it doesn't matter so much, what my clients or what people do when they are a kid. It's the fact that our creativity flows from our heart center. It doesn't flow from our mind. We can't logic a painting. We can try. We can't create a beautiful creative outlet in our lives just through the mind. The ego would love that, but it can't do it. We need our heart, and we need our heart to lead. So when we look back, from when we were a child, at all the really important moments that feel really powerful in how we were celebrated or how our creativity was knocked back, then there's a kind of a really gentle and natural unweaving that happens, and people get to feel more in touch with who they are and how they love to express themselves, how they love to be creative. It all comes back. So it's not necessarily that you go back to as a kid and you honor that, oh, I love to color that way, I'm going to do that as an adult. It's more of it comes back to the permission slip again. It's the, okay, wait, someone else told me I couldn't do something, but now I'm an adult and I get to tell myself that this is okay, that this is valid, that this is needed in my life, that I have a unique way with this. So when we do that, the heart leads us through that process so beautifully.
Oh yeah, it does. It's always leading us home, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
And so what do you feel the vital difference is between, you talked about, we need each other, we need collaboration, connection, community. What's the vital difference between online communities and the grassroots ones? that we see all around us?
I think they're both really necessary. Grassroots feels different. In the last few years, I think a lot of us would have struggled so deeply if we didn't have our online communities. I think we've realized how beautiful they can be in supporting us through anything, teaching us anything. So many people now get to work from home, working from home, and having the online work community means we can spend more time with our community at home, our loved ones, the people who live with us or near us. So we get to create more of a balance. And I really think that that's the vital piece, creating a balance between who we connect with online and who we connect with in our grassroots community. I do feel more and more that the grassroots community is being reshaped, reconfigured to be more self-sustaining, to be more collaborative. You know, we're not really in a place now where we're looking for leaders to tell us what to do anymore. We're finding that our sovereign hearts already know. We've done this in past lifetimes. Our ancestors have done this many, many times. So coming into a more of a collaborative approach with our community is a way in which to bring out our gifts and talents. It's a way in which we can look to how do we sustain ourselves? How do we grow food in the area that we live? How do we take care of our belongings and our homes and our children with more of a local perspective? I love that we have this global reach. It really is beneficial. I think we need to be mindful that we're not online too much, that we're not looking to what's going on in the world, in other places in the world. That can lead to more fear and more anxiety. What we need in our bodies right now is more nourishment and more healing. That comes from living closer to nature and closer to our community. That's what I believe.
Yeah, that speaks to my soul too, Kris. It really does, especially the nature. We're going to take our final break and come back for our last 10-minute segment. And when we do, let's talk a little more about the wisdom of nature, because I know how much it has healed me and how much it soothes my soul. So we'll be back in a moment, my friends. I'm with Kris Franken, author of Wildhearted Purpose. Grab your copy at krisfranken.com. We'll be right back.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Are you feeling called to clear your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual blockages? That's your soul and environment speaking to you and asking you to uncover all the clutter that is preventing you from living the life you envision. Felicia Messina DeHady, soul coaching master practitioner and trainer and teacher of advanced interior alignment and medicine wheel feng shui, supports her international clientele by creating inner and outer transformation in their environments and their lives by combining elements from her extensive training, experience, and intuition. Felicia is a master intuitive coach, certified by Colette Barron-Reed, and has served as a master mentor for Denise Lin's Elemental Space Clearing certification course, as well as her Ultimate Clutter Clearing. Explore her offerings, including certification courses in Feng Shui, space clearing, soul coaching, and Reiki at FeliciaDeHady.com.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
This is Kathy Beal, host of Celestial Compass, featuring astrology you can use. Celestial Compass points you to what's going on in the sky and what you can do with it down here on Earth. We also explore fun, effective, and cosmic tools for navigating this adventure we call life. Join me the first and third Monday of the month at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for Celestial Compass. It's enlightening, entertaining, and empowering.
The United States has the highest rate of incarceration in the world. At the Equal Justice Initiative, we believe mass incarceration has to end. There is this presumption of dangerousness and guilt that gets assigned to Black and brown people. We have to confront our history of racial injustice and commit to a new era of truth. There's something better waiting for us, something that feels more like freedom. Truth can inspire change. Please learn more at eji.org.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Welcome back, my friends. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. I'm Linda Joy, and with me today is Kris Franken, author of Wildhearted Purpose. So, Kris, you talked about like the wisdom of nature and how we need that. And like you, I mean, I have an online business, so I am connected with my authors and clients and readers from around the world. But I am a big person that I also need that in-person connection. And some refer to me as the cultivator of sacred community because I've always brought women together. I used to hold spiritual personal development events for women, 200 to 300 women and 65 beautiful speakers, and they were always sacred events. And then times changed, right? But one of the ways that I heal and connect is my nature walks. I abut a conservation area. I live in the middle of the woods on a spring-fed lake. There's only 7 of us here. It's heaven. And so nature has healed me since I've been on this property for the last 25, 26 years. You write a lot about the wisdom of nature. Talk about that for a moment and how people who feel disconnected from this wisdom can tune in. We'll spend our last segment talking about this.
I love that you share your story. I feel so similar. I've only been here in the woods for a year, and we have a little spring-fed creek. We have a little community here, and it has been changing my life so much. It's just really deepening my connection to my inner world. So what I love about nature is that when we really do get in touch with the elements, what I mean by that is I don't like having air conditioning. I don't like having heating. I like having windows open. I like feeling the heat of the day. I like feeling the rain. I like having the fire burning in the middle of the house. And I know that I'm so blessed that I can do that, that we have quite a balance here. Yes, it gets hot and yes, it gets cold, but I'm learning that I love to feel that, because what it does is it keeps me connected to my body so much more. It keeps me connected to my health, keeps me connected to Mother Earth. She, for me, she has all the wisdom we need. She has all the nourishment we need. I mean, we know that, or we're learning that she holds the nourishment. I mean, what we are learning about beautiful sacred medicine like cacao and so many other beautiful offerings that she has for us is that she has the medicine for whatever it is that we need. Working with nature for me has been such a heart opener, because at first it can be quite confronting. Where I live, there are goannas that look like little baby dinosaurs, and they can be a bit confronting. We have lots of snakes. We've got beautiful birds. We've got foxes and wild dogs, and there's just all sorts of beautiful creatures out in the wild. And I'm beginning to make a lot of peace with them. But I find that being in nature soothes my soul, it soothes my body, it calms my mind, and it brings me to a state of absolute peace and just brings me into the moment. And it's in the moment that I get to really find and discover my magic. I have my best ideas while I'm sitting outside with my feet in the creek. I have my best ideas when I'm dancing in the rain, or when I'm standing watching a rainbow on top of a huge rock, or when I'm hugging a really old, beautiful, tall gum tree. That's when things really drop into my life. The synchronicity that comes into my life when I spend more time having just really intensely fun and playful moments in nature is something that is so hard to explain. But no matter where you live in the world, if you can find a tree for yourself that speaks to you, that just feels like a wise old being, because they are, and if you can spend a little bit more time with bare feet on the earth, depending on the seasons, of course, if you can spend a little bit more time trusting in her that she is guiding you. I've had so many intense, pivotal moments in the last year with nature, but she has been guiding me towards the greatest healing of my life, the greatest joy of my life, the greatest success. community love and this spirited life that I live here. So every little moment that I spend out there with her, embracing her and appreciating and acknowledging her is reflected back to me. I start to appreciate my body more and the way it's changing in my 40s. I start to really embrace who I am on all levels. And I stop seeing things as right or wrong, because there's no right or wrong weather. There can be intense weather and there can be really pleasurable weather, but there's no right or wrong in nature. So when I've learned that and unraveled that within my mind, it starts to filter into my body, and I realize on such a deep level that, wow, there's no right or wrong way or thing in my body. There's nothing that's wrong ever. And I really get to feel that within me. It's more seasonal, it's more wild, and I get to embrace that and live from there. And I can't think of anything more empowering.
Speaking to my soul, my friend, we start every day, weather permitting, we live in New England, going for a walk at sunrise. We get it just bright enough that we can see the path, and then we walk towards where the sunrise comes up over the pond. And we do that just about every single day. It's our way of grounding in nature, and it's conservation land. So quite often we don't ever run into anybody. It's our Zen spot. It's where we set the intentional energy for our day. There's a private beach at the other end of our pond that it's just small. We stop there, and we always have a routine. I stand at the shore, he stands behind me, puts his arm around me, and the thoughts that come, or the statement always is, I'm so grateful. We're so blessed. But imagine going back and starting your day tapped into nature's energy. It does something. Everything you said was just beautifully described how I feel when I'm in nature.
Oh, I love your morning rituals so much. I would love to have that with my husband.
Oh, I gotta tell you,
me.
Yeah, even my following, they love when I post a photo from our walks. And you know, when it's 3 feet of snow or something like that, we don't go. Sometimes we might go later in the day, but starting at that time, there's something about it. And you know, we can get in our head just like anyone else, going, oh, do we really want to go? We got things to do. And we look at each other going, okay, we're going, because we know what it does. We're both nature lovers. But Kris, there was a time I've been with Dana now. He's, 28 years we've been together. And he's always owned property on this sacred space. And a different property, it's one of our third ones on this water. And when I first started seeing him, we were way on that end. And I remember I was driving down this winding dirt road, and I was so busy on my phone. It's when I had that other business I told you. I'm looking down, and we were probably dating 4 months. And he said, hey, I said, what? He goes, don't you even see any of this? And I look up from my phone, like, what? Yeah, I see some trees. And I didn't get what he meant, Kris. As I was in my head, that's where I was at that time. And so now, over those years, I've deepened my relationship. Now I can't be without nature. Now I can feel a breeze. It's everything that you were describing so beautifully before. And thankfully, we're raising our granddaughter. I have a grandson who loves nature, and our granddaughter is born connected to nature. She's 11. And she'll call and go, grandparent walk. And that means she's coming over to walk the conservation trails with us. And I'm like, yes, I want her to have this. From a young age, I didn't have that. So thank you. Thank you for all the wisdom you've shared, the insights. A lot of what you shared was really a message for me too, not only my listeners. So Kris, I want to thank you for being here today, my friend.
Thank you, Linda. I have enjoyed this so much, and I've enjoyed hearing your story so much. So thank you for your inspiration. Thank you for everything that you do. It's just been such a joy.
Oh, thank you, my friend. I'm sure we'll stay connected. I just love everything you're doing, and I want to invite everyone, please visit krisfranken.com. Grab a copy of Wildhearted Purpose, as well as her other book. Until next time, my friends, choose love, choose joy, and choose happiness. Blessings.
Thanks for listening to Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. Join our sacred space every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern and meet leading female visionaries empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. Inspired Conversations with Linda Joy is a soulful venue where guests share the obstacles they've overcome, along with wisdom and lessons learned on their personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic and soulful living.